emotions are subject to the law of impermanence. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Did you bring a dictionary for me lunch? The subject of the law of impermanence, which basically means that transient, they move. Energy and motion is what an emotion is, right? So it's a really interesting thing, that, because I think when I start talking about that in that program, it's like, oh, actually, yeah, it's not a goal, it's not a destination, it's not a journey, it's just a fucking emotion. Well, hello again. Hi, do you come here often? It's my name. My name's Paul Mort. I am here talking shit on the Paul Mort Talk Shit Show, and today I'm talking shit with my guy, Craig Gillespie. Craig, how are you?
I am very well, unexpectedly here, but yeah, happy to be here.
Do you know what, guys? I've done a lot of random shit in my life. I've done a lot of random shit with podcasts, but this is right up there with the most random podcast we've ever done. Craig was here is here for a consult with me on a half day, and I said to him about 12 o'clock, I said, listen, do you want to do a podcast in an hour? He was like, and I was like, do you want to do a podcast in an hour? And he said, yeah. So we're here because spending some time with Craig over the last kind of 18 months or so?
Yeah, probably 18 months since I first
18 months or so. His transformation's been quite spectacular. And spending time in them this morning, I was like, you know what? More people need to hear of Craig. So I'm not going to tell everyone a little bit about you. What I want to start with is a real powerful question that we could delve deeper on, which is what led you to me?
I was stuck, was the biggest thing. Happened to be on Facebook and saw the Cliff video.
Describe stuck for me.
Stuck, I was in a job that was safe, comfortable, in a marriage where I was completely unhappy. I wasn't valued. I didn't know what my role was. And yeah, I had no purpose. But I felt like all the things that were there, this safe job and this marriage with a person who made me really unhappy, I couldn't get out of. I was stuck in there. There was no route out. Yeah. Or no obvious route out.
That's really interesting, because I'm going to guarantee there's hundreds of people who are like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Shit, that sounds like me. So what kept you in that? You mentioned safety. What kept you in that loop for that amount of time? I know what it was, but I'd love you to describe why did you stay in that situation that just wasn't working for you for so long?
It was comfortable and it was familiar.
Familiar.
Yeah. It's like a thing that you know is not good for you, like drinking or taking drugs, but the process of it is familiar, so you feel safe in a way.
And it gives you this sense of certainty, right? You want certainty.
Yeah, you know exactly.
This sucks, but at least I'm certain it sucks.
Yeah.
If I change, if I quit this job, if I leave my wife, shit.
Yeah.
So what was it then? So it was the Cliff video that started it? Was that the thing that kind of fucking woke you up, or was that the fuck it moment?
Probably woke me up, I think. I was toying with the idea of starting my own business or going out alone and become much more active on digital platforms like Facebook. And I'd started to see some kind of coaches and different business mentors and things like that. So that's where I think...
It's mad in it, because in that video, I talk about business, and I think that's why people get it. Even people that aren't in business kind of get it, or anyone that, because I kind of talk about business, but really I'm talking about life and mindset and all. There's just this emotional shit.
Yeah.
So that was the video where you were like, shit, I think I'm ready to do something about it.
Yeah.
No, what happened next?
Well,
was there a gap?
There was a gap, but there was a bit before where I was trying to do what these business mentors were advocating.
And what was that?
It was all just about business, and I think it was at that point I realised that no matter what I do with my business, if I launch it or if I don't launch it, I'm still in this unhappy marriage, and I'm still going to be stuck in there. So actually, it's not the business; it's me that I need to work.
Mate, I was just going to say that, because I did a talk in London last year, and actually I did the same talk in Edinburgh a couple of weeks later. And one of the things that I say in there is that actually for such a long time I was making such a lot of money. And then I got stuck. And then I just felt stuck as well inside of the Unstoppable thing that I was doing. I mean, I started that Unstoppable thing 2017-ish, and I had the same 9 clients for fucking 18 months. And I got to the point where I was like, actually, I don't have a business problem. I have a me problem.
Yeah.
And the me problem for me was kind of like I couldn't get over this. Somehow I developed this fear of people saying no, this fear of rejection, this what if it doesn't work. Actually, the biggest challenge that I had was what if I can't handle it? Because in 3 years earlier, I'd had this fucking meltdown. I was like, shit, well, I know how to build a business because I made my first $1 million in 2014.
Yeah.
So I know how to do it. But my thoughts were, shit, I'm stuck now because I know how to do it. I'm just like, well, but if I do it, this might happen.
Yes. Yeah. No.
Is that what you were like?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it was more like I'd toyed with stuff and played with things. Dabbled. Yeah, that's a good word.
Dabble's a brilliant word, yeah. Yeah.
I never really committed to any of it.
Yes.
And then it was from, like I say, the Cliff video, which led me into the Unstoppable 28, and it was like, okay, I need to start.
Did you start on Unstoppable 28?
I did, yeah. I went through the full process. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
the full 28 thing?
Full 28.
What was the, so we've gone from, what was the breaking point then that was like, I'm jumping on this Unstoppable 28 thing? Was it the fucking relentless amount of emails that I sent?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, because it was like,
because that's not a business program. There's no business at all in it.
No, it was kind of creating structure was the biggest thing for me.
Nice.
I had no real structure in life.
Yeah.
Just living for, get to Friday, then I can do, like, don't have to work, don't think about it.
Yes.
Eat whatever I want, drink whatever I want.
Yeah.
There wasn't any drugs at that point, but previously there was, but it was still kind of, just like get to Friday and then it'll be okay. And then when you get to Friday, you're just already thinking about Monday.
Sorry, mate. I'm just like that's fairly profound. So what was the things then from? I feel like I'm doing a sales pitch here, but it's not because we're giving you fucking kind of free shirts here. We're giving you Unstoppable 28 for free, really here. But what I'm saying is, what were the big parts that you took then from that program, or from what were the big things that you took that anyone can use really, that had the most impact in terms of structure for you?
I think looking at life in a broader sense in terms of the 5 Fs. Like, I think I only ever focused on maybe one thing at a time, and I'd never considered, especially things like family or fun. Yeah. They were just never part of my life because it felt like I didn't deserve to have fun, so I wouldn't think about it, which then just makes you feel sad and unhappy and unfulfilled and stuff. So it was just opening up, right? You can actually allocate time and energy into each individual
one of the first things I teach inside of this, that whole, and I don't talk about this very often actually outside of the program, which is this happiness buffet thing. Yeah. So actually there's a lot of things that you can do to instantly shift your mood.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize that or think about it previously.
Some of them are free, some of them don't require much time, they don't require you to travel anywhere.
Yeah.
Include them like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that was one of probably the biggest, that happiness buffet, when you think, nothing really makes me happy. And then once you start to write one, they go, oh, there's that as well. Yeah. Well,
I think, Craig, I think a lot of people that get this whole happiness thing completely mixed up. I'm like, so I actually read something this morning. He might be listening, so don't take offense to it. I'm in this group for a program that I'm in, and one of the questions got asked this morning: what goal are you most excited about achieving in 2022? Yeah. And someone said, simple, to be happy. I'm like, happiness isn't a goal.
No.
I mean, it's kind of nice, but it's not. For me, it's not a goal. It's the same as all the other stuff. It's a fucking emotion. Yeah. It's impossible to be happy all the time. You're not supposed to be happy all the time. It's an emotion. Everyone thinks it's some kind of goal or a destination, or even the people say it's a journey. I'm like, no. Or it's an inside job. And I kind of agree with some of that, but I'm like, actually, it's just an emotion and you can create it on demand. Yeah. So I think that's what we get. And the reason I'm saying this is because I think when we think nothing makes us happy, it's like we're supposed to be happy all of the time. There's not one thing that I do that makes me happy all the time. Well, actually, you're not supposed to be happy all the time. Emotions are subject to the law of impermanence. Fuck me. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Did you bring a dictionary for me, lunch? They're subject to the law of impermanence, which basically means they're transient. They move. Energy and motion is what an emotion is, right? So it's a really interesting thing, that, because I think when I start talking about that in that program, it's like, oh, actually, it's not a goal. It's not a destination. It's not a journey. It's just a fucking emotion. Yeah. And you're supposed to experience the whole range.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's called being human, isn't it?
Yeah. That part.
Did you see how much easier it was?
Yeah.
See how much not even easier, simpler it is to feel happy.
Absolutely, yeah, because you can go, you have work to do or there's challenges throughout the day, but at the end of the day, I'm going to listen to really loud music on the way in the car home, and that that gives you something to look forward to as well. That little, like you say, it's free.
Yeah.
It's simple.
What I love about that you just mentioned there is actually, and this is one thing, this is kind of what I was trying to get to with the first question that I asked you on this, which was, and I've been getting a lot of stick. People try and take the piss out of me if there's ice. Oh, ice bath makes you tough, does it? I'm like, actually, no. I don't have to force myself. I don't need to get motivated to go in the ice bath. It makes me feel fucking amazing. So what you said there about the end of the day, that's amazing. I love to have something to be excited about. But I'm like, part of me is, just make them first couple of things you do in the morning, make you, like, do shit that makes you happy first. Why wait?
Yeah.
Why delay it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can.
So did you get quite a bit? I feel like I'm interviewing you. I feel like I'm doing a fucking customer satisfaction survey. Did you start to change your mornings as well then?
Yeah, just building some routine into every day. But yeah, mornings still is the most important part of my day in terms of my rituals and setting yourself up. Yeah. Or setting your intentions up for having whatever you want to do
and to win.
Achieve.
Yeah,
things.
to win.
Yeah.
I think that actually, and again, you've mentioned it a couple of times, this structure thing, but I've realized it before, but it's just popped the front of my mind that I'm like, do you know what? I think structure becomes even more important when you become self-employed.
Yeah.
Because right at the start, you're like, possibly at home.
Yeah.
Possibly working in a coffee shop. Don't have to be in at a certain time. Don't have to clock in. Don't have to clock out. You're suddenly your own boss. It can be very easy to do fuck all. Yeah. Except panic. Except panic, what do I do now? Yeah. So I think adding in that morning ritual, we've just added a little tweak to yours today actually. Yep. Adding in that morning ritual can have a massive impact. Yeah.
And it just feels, for me especially, once you've done that morning ritual, you feel like you've achieved something already. Yeah. So then it makes the rest of the day a little bit, easier.
People try and take the piss out of me on this morning ritual stuff all the time, but it's their conception or it's their perception of what a morning ritual is that they have a problem with. Yeah. They don't even know mine. Actually, I only do shit in the morning that I fucking really, before I get to work, I only do shit that I get really excited about doing. They think I'm forcing myself. Honestly, everyone has this misconception with morning rituals that you have to get up at 5 a.m. Yeah. You have to work out for an hour. Fuck working out in the morning. You have to work out for an hour. You have to have an ice bath and force yourself to do it because you're tough. You have to fucking eat sand. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. You have to lick sand off your own shoes. Do you know what I mean? It's like just this misconception around. I'm like, well, actually, that's not what it is. And you think about this, Craig, right? No. Any success is built on the back of what you do ritually. Success in any area of life is based on rituals, but I just think this concept of a morning rituals gets completely misconstrued.
Yeah, it doesn't have to take long.
It's the
either.
Fucking Navy SEALs, and the fucking SAS people that have fucked it. The fucking morning, it's like the hippies ruined fucking meditation for everybody. The fucking all the SAS crew, sorry lads, have ruined this morning ritual, and they're like, oh shit, I have to hang upside down from a rafter. Yeah. I'm just saying random shit right now, Craig. So we got structure for the morning ritual. Yeah. So what was the step? Was it like a fuck it from the job, or because I work with a lot of guys, or I get a lot of questions saying, how do I go from side hustle to being fully self-employed? Now, I'm a balls deep kind of guy, so I'm a terrible person to give advice on this side hustle from, because I'm like, I didn't have one. I'm either going in with my balls or I'm not going in at all. Yeah. So what was that transition like for you?
It was one that was kind of forced on me in a certain way, because the marriage broke down. Mm-hmm. My ex-partner moved from Edinburgh to Glasgow, so I had this choice of being a weekend dad or being or moving so that I could be a full-time dad. I was always really hands-on with bringing up my son, who's 8 now, and I was always part of his daily routine. I wasn't really prepared to give that up. So I kind of went to my boss and said, look, this is a situation, I'm going to move, and kind of left it like that, hoping that they would say, fair enough, shake my hand and wish me luck. Mm-hmm. He didn't. He said, right, okay, I still want you on board. How about you just work from home remotely for us? Before working remotely was cool. Yeah. And
working remotely is not fucking cool. I hate it. Honestly, I'm like, I might work from home today, and then I'm like, no, I better not. Yeah. I'll eat me body weight in crisps and biscuits. Yeah. I'll fucking play FIFA. So yeah.
That's exactly
I think you need quite a lot of discipline to work from home, actually.
You do, and it took me a long time to get that.
No.
Like that first probably 6 months. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was getting up at 10 o'clock in the morning and like eating crisps for breakfast and then
watching Sky Sports News.
Yeah, but then just going, shit, I need to finish that thing off and work until 2 a.m. And it just wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
And then eventually it just kind of gradually moved, and I started to create that discipline, because if you don't, then you just don't do work. You don't get
and
the
there's
work
a
done.
great saying, I think it's actually from Jocko Willink, who's the Navy SEALs guy, and he's like, discipline actually gives you freedom.
It does. It does. And it took probably 6 months of having no discipline for me to
But
realize.
you convince yourself that you've got freedom, I think, don't you?
Yeah,
It's
you
like a
do.
fake flexibility.
Yeah.
It's not really, I can do what I want.
Yeah, but you can't, because
No.
you've still got to answer to someone else.
Yes. And I think you can do what you want until you see that you're not making any progress as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, might be fairly sensitive, but let's talk about how you handled this breakup then. What was your strategy? What was it like? What was it? Because I'm thinking of Instagram at the minute. I get a lot of messages. How do I deal with breakup?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'd be like, if it was me, and again, I haven't had a breakup for a long ass time. It's like the people that I've seen succeed with it have thrown themselves into something else instead of dwelling on what didn't work. They're like, do you think that business thing might have helped you with that then?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That was the like, I did that typical thing where you just throw yourself at work.
Yeah.
I'll just keep myself
I
busy.
actually don't think there's a lot of people would slate that. They'd be like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You need to deal with hidden trauma. I'm like, well, no, maybe the marriage just didn't work.
Yeah.
And you need to put your focus somewhere. So I'm like, I'm self-employed now. I haven't got a job anymore. It makes sense that I'm going to fucking go all in on this thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. And I don't think I consciously did it, but it was just like you say, well, I've got
to make it work.
I've got to make a living. I've got to pay the bills. So that's, instead of just sitting thinking about what I should have done and what I could have done and, dwelling on it.
Yes.
Which I probably did at certain times.
Yes.
But
of course you would have.
But just focused on, okay,
You know
I've got
what?
this new
it's
thing.
a funny thing when we talk about that. Oh, you shouldn't throw yourself fully into your business. But I'm like, actually, if you're fucking electrified, there's a difference between spending all your time doing a job that you hate or running a business that you hate and having that take up loads of your time and hating it, and having it fucking electrify you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's an element of me is like, fucking hell, I absolutely love doing this. Why would I then be like, oh, do you know what? No.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting concept for me, because I've been the guy who's working a lot of hours in a business that I hated, but I've also been the guy that's worked a lot of hours in a business that I fucking love.
Yeah.
Or actually, I could probably have the same business, but inside of that business, I could do shit that I hate. Because inside of this business, I've had loads of things where I'm like, fucking hell.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I have to do that. But then I've set it up in a way now where I'm only doing the shit that I love doing.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of where you're going.
Yeah, that's kind of.
So talk to me about some of the other things that have helped you in terms of keeping your fucking head on straight whilst you've gone through this marriage breakdown, while you've fucking moved cities.
Yeah.
To a city that's not as cool, in my humble but accurate opinion. Do you know what I mean? To a city that's not as cool. You've moved cities. You've got a new business. You've now got quite a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
You've got a lot going on in your life. What are some of the things that have helped you kind of keep your shit together with that?
I guess I seen it as a drawback of moving city, because then I just became completely isolated from family, friends.
Yes.
I didn't really have anything else going on. So
Yeah,
first
yeah.
it was a real.
So it's not like you've moved with your family. You've kind of moved on your own to be closer to your family, but you're not really with them. You're kind of in the house on your own.
Yeah, for the first time in.
That's got to be quite hard.
Yeah, trying to remember how to do like washings and cooking for you. Well, always cooked anyway, but it was like, okay, what
Every meal's yours.
every single meal I had to kind of take care of, doing all the shopping, all the house admin, as I called it at that time. It was a real change of complete circumstances.
Yeah.
So yeah, that like I say, it probably took a good 6 months for me to adjust. And find some kind of pattern and routine. But the programs were the real driving force behind that.
Yeah.
That gave me when it was the 28-day thing, it was kind of filling out those forms and doing the feedback every day and ticking
Bit
the
of structure,
boxes.
yes.
And then as that progressed and moved through into the next stages of the program, everything, the level of commitment I had to put into it gave me that structure.
A little bit higher every time.
Yeah.
A little bit more support every time. A little bit more accountability every time. A little bit more, I suppose you get around, at each different level of that, you get around people who are a little bit, they're on the same journey as you, or they're a little bit ahead of you.
Yeah. I think that's been the biggest driver in every stage of the program, is there always seems to be, or most of the people seem further ahead than me.
Yes.
Which I found a bit of a drawback, because it played on my insecurities.
It's a really interesting thing, isn't it?
But every time I always kind of think, well, they just started sooner than me. They're just a little bit further along in the process than I am.
They've gone a little. Do you know what? It's a real interesting thing, that, because I've been talking about so much recently about, and I actually talked about it in our December quarterly, where I was like, do you know what? Sometimes when things get a bit hard, we run back and we lower our standards, and we go back to the people where we know are safe, where we know we're better than most of them, where we're doing better than most of them. We know our standards are usually higher than theirs, but when we go back there, we can kind of get away with lowering them. And it's something that I learned from Tony Robbins, actually, and he says, and I agree with it, which is the results you have in your life are a direct correlation of the standards your peer group holds you to. And you'll either do one of two things. You'll get around people who have higher standards than you. Yeah. And you know they've got higher standards than you because they're a little bit further ahead than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you'll and again, we talk about peers. What is a peer? A peer is somebody who you'll modify your behavior to get the approval of.
Yeah.
So we'll either go around these people who are doing a little bit better than us, have a little bit higher standards than us, and we'll raise our standards to fit in. Yeah. Or to get their approval, or to, it's called the law of conformity. Talking about a lot of laws today, huh? Probably broke a few here. But we'll modify a bit to fit in with, we've got this other peer group, which is usually some of our older friends. Yeah. Right? Love them. Yeah. Love them. But often, to get their approval, we lower our standards to fit in. Yeah. Because we're often a little bit further. I'll call it the king of the shitheads. I'm king of the shitheads here. I was that for a long time in my life. Yeah. And again, I'm never say being your friends off, but I think that being around the people doing a little bit better can be a double-edged sword. Yeah. No, it can be a double-edged sword, because you're like, fucking hell. They're doing so much better than me. Why aren't I doing that? Why aren't I further ahead? Why can't I do this? Yeah. But on the flip side, you just got a different question.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is, how do
I get there?
Yeah, how do I get there?
What was my next step?
Yeah. How can I ask them? How could they open doors for me? Yeah. How could I ask them how they're doing it? Yeah. And I think that actually the difference in the question, it's weird, because it is a double-edged sword. Both of them are double-edged sword, because this is easier. Like going back to that lower, the peer group who aren't doing as well as you, that's easier until it isn't. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes it's just based on, actually, I would say it's often based on where your energies are. If your energy's high, you can't wait to get after the pack and get after the person that's further ahead than you and ask them questions and get after it. But then when your energy's low, you'll tend to feel a little bit sorry for yourself, or you'll be like, you'll probably scroll a little bit more, you'll do a little bit less, and you become a little bit of a spectator.
Yeah, you start comparing yourself. I know, like, even we had my first Elite X meeting just a few weeks ago. Yeah. And I was, like you said, I was really excited going into that. This is this new peer group. Everyone's at a higher level than what I think I am at anyway. Yes. And learning and seeing what else that they're doing so that I can raise my standards. Yeah. But when I left, I felt a bit inferior. Yeah. I did have that. I had a couple of days of going, shit, they're like way bigger.
They're so further ahead, so much further ahead. Yeah.
I'm not.
It's an interesting thing, isn't it, that?
I should be in that room. But then there's that little reminder. Like, I even put the little card, the handwritten card you sent, put that on my board so I can see it every day and go,
you were invited.
I was invited. Yeah. So there's that confidence boost of being invited, but then there's the flip side of, I feel a bit inferior. So
I love it, because when you're in it, when you're doing, you didn't feel inferior.
No.
It's when you stopped doing, when you stepped away and you just started watching and looking and thinking, I suppose. Yeah. Doing more thinking than doing that's when it starts to become a challenge. When you go back, when you were in the arena, when you were on the pitch, you were playing in the same game. It's when you sat in the stands where you were like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have been on the pitch. A lot of people would call this imposter syndrome. Yeah. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'd just be like, no, you're just uncomfortable because you stopped doing the work.
Absolutely.
When you're doing the work, you never really feel that. I mean, even when you're rolling jiu-jitsu, right? If I'm rolling jiu-jitsu, I'm getting smashed. I'm getting smashed. But guess what I'm not doing? I'm not watching. Yeah. I'm in the game. I may be getting strangled, but I'm in the game. Yeah. And if I'm in the game, guess what I'm doing? Getting better. Yeah. Yeah. I can't get better on the sidelines.
That is it's a perfect analogy for it all.
I might be getting fucking strangled here. I might feel like I'm drowning, which is a regular. I feel like I'm drowning, but guess what? At least I'm in the water.
Yeah.
I'm not on the fucking sideline. I'm not dipping me toe in either.
Yeah. You're fully in.
It's a real interesting thing, that. So tell me then, what's working for you right now?
Working for me right now.
I've never asked this question on these podcasts before, but it's a fucking good one. It is. It's a fucking great question, that. What's working for you right now, Craig?
It is just trying to raise my standards and looking at all the details, and thinking about myself. I want to be attracting high-paying customers and clients.
Yeah.
So if I want to do that, I need to start behaving and acting and looking like
amazing
that kind of person. So
yeah,
I'm trying to adjust my daily behaviors and habits and rituals to something like what I believe a six-figure.
And that's the great thing, I think, often about goals. And I spoke about this on my friend Darren's show just last week, actually. And I was talking about that's one of the greatest things about goals isn't like getting it or having it or getting to have it. It's who you have to become on the way. Like that's, for me, that's one of the most exciting things is, right, who do I have to become to do this?
Yeah.
And often, even if I don't hit the target, I've still got better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm competing in jiu-jitsu next weekend. I'm just going to have fun. I've got no doubt that I will not win.
Yeah.
I've got no doubt I might not even medal. I might not even get on the podium. I might lose every match. I'm okay with it because I know I'm going to get better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know for me, part of you's got to be okay with losing as well, right?
Yeah, because I'm still progressing. That's
let me ask you a couple of great questions. I think the timing is quite good on this. What, looking back at last year, because right now when we're recording this is the start of 2022, looking back at last year then, what were some of your biggest disappointments?
Biggest disappointments?
Yeah. And I always think this is just worth looking at because right now all we've talked about is how well things have gone for you.
Yeah.
I think we need to put this into a bit of context.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think this is such a good thing to look at. What were some of your biggest disappointments in 2021 then?
And 2021 is overall the biggest thing was still treating my business in a kind of amateur way.
Expand on that. I think this is important.
So it was like even just structure around hours that I work.
Yeah.
The discipline of turning up every day.
Yeah.
The how I promote and I am visible.
Yes.
Was all very, very amateur.
Yeah.
It was just flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
Didn't really know what was going to be happening month to month. There was a little bit of structure that paid the bills, and that was okay, but I just stayed stuck a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I knew that I needed some help and support in terms of staff or that kind of side of things, but I massively resisted it.
Yeah.
And didn't do anything about it.
I mean, I resisted for fucking 4 years. You didn't do that bad last year. I resisted for 4 years hiring someone. Yeah. Oh, I don't need anyone. I'll be fine. I'll do it all.
Yeah.
What else? What about your personal life?
Personal life, I'd obviously got divorced, and I kind of played around with the whole dating kind of world. But I the same way with business and personal life, I just didn't commit to something. I would meet somebody and have a few dates, and I was like,
just dip your toe in again.
Yeah. You know, like they're like almost the ideal perfect person for me, but I would be looking for tiny little faults so that I could go, I'll just back off.
That's interesting.
So that was a bit of a disappointment earlier in the year, and I kind of addressed that probably about.
What did you learn from those disappointments then? What did you learn from those kind of unmet expectations that you said? Yeah.
I guess it was me that was the problem, not the other people. Kind of what you said earlier on. I was taking the same me into another relationship, and then kind of asking myself, why did that end up the same way? Well, it was obviously their fault because I don't know.
I like that. I like the same me because it kind of goes in line with, and I guess it's, I want to change my job. My job's making us miserable. And I think there is an element of this. My marriage is making me miserable. My relationship's making me miserable. My where I live's making me miserable.
Yeah.
But often I just think it's really important that you said that because I think that can be the case 1,000,000%. But I also think you've just got to ask yourself, is it the job?
Yeah.
Is it the other person?
Yeah.
Is it actually the country? Because I've done this. I mean, to me, 2012, I was like, I hate South Shields. I hate everyone that lives here. I hate people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move countries. And then I was even more unhappy. Because I realized that actually it wasn't people that I hate, it wasn't the country that I hate, it was myself.
Yeah.
I was the problem. I was trying to change the fucking world, but wasn't willing really to look in the mirror and say, actually, it's me, my thoughts, my behaviors, my habits that I had to change. So really lesson think that. So what would you say then that was so going into this year, not going to skip the what were your wins question because I think that's important too. What was some of your kind of targets personally and professionally going into this year based on that kind of commitment and amateur thing? Was it kind of turning pro, right?
Yeah. So I guess over the course of 2021, I kind of look at it, started off as amateur.
Yeah.
Halfway through the year, I'm kind of getting to
semi-pro.
Semi-pro,
yeah.
So yeah, that's it's just kind of each kind of moving up the leagues.
Yeah.
I guess.
What does that look like for you then? Well, like, how would you know?
How would I know?
Yeah.
It's the type of clients that I'm working with is the biggest thing, and the type of projects. So instead of maybe go back a couple of years where I'm picking up jobs to design a flyer for 50 quid.
Yeah.
I'm now doing a branding logo, coming up with a name for a product that's $4,000 or £5,000.
Yeah, so it's moving from one thing to the next in terms of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this. This is random as fuck, but it just popped up in my head. You said to me right before we came on here, can I do the fan dance on me bike? Now, for you guys listening in that don't know what the fan dance is, it's the original SAS selection marching route. If you want to get in the SAS, you got to be able to do this marching route, big fucking backpack on in a certain amount of time. I've done it. I've done a lot of physical challenges in my life. I've done, I wouldn't say a lot actually, but I've done a few. I've had boxing matches. I've completed these Navy SEAL selection training. I've completed SAS selection training. I've done the Great North Run half marathon with no training. I've done the David Goggins challenge. I've done getting in shape of jiu-jitsu, competing in jiu-jitsu, and I've done the fan dance. The fan dance for me was worse than all of those.
Yeah.
And it's just because of the length of time and the time on your feet and the speed you got to do it at. What made you ask that question about the bike? What's this?
Well, that was one thing that I, over 2021, kind of found that that's my go-to thing that relaxes me, that I completely focus on. It's where I find my
Hang on
flow.
a fucking second here. Pedaling a bike up the side of a fucking mountain relaxes you.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
No, absolutely. Because it's like, same with sort of jiu-jitsu for you. You can't concentrate or think
relaxing.
about something else. You're just
try not to die.
coming back down the way.
Yeah, try not to die.
Well, me and my friends kind of call it, it's controlled crashing all the way down. You're just, you're about to fall off all the time. You're just not quite fall. Sometimes you do fall off.
Have you ever fallen off?
Yeah, quite a lot.
What's the worst injury you've
had? On the bike, nothing major. Touching.
You must be
lots
good
of
at it.
bits of wood. Just cuts, grazies.
Yeah. What got you into this then?
I used to do mountain biking years ago, and just life, family takes over, and you start to lose those hobbies and things.
It's really
that
interesting, that, isn't it?
Yeah. You start doing things to make other people happy as opposed to you happy.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things that, I don't know, as middle-aged men, people seem to be jumping on bikes and going up hills and hill walking.
Mate, I saw something fucking incredible, and I laughed at it actually. It was like a meme, and it said, have you noticed that all the people that used to get on the sesh every weekend and posting pictures of being on the sesh are now posting the pictures at the top of the mountain?
Yeah.
I was like, that's quite funny.
That's exactly it.
That is quite funny, isn't it? So it's kind of I suppose it is. You could call it a kind of a form of healthy escapism, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And by wanting to do it and push myself and challenge myself more, it meant I had to look at my nutrition, look at my fitness overall.
Yeah.
It was also a good way to spend time with my friends, which we didn't do a lot of, or not enough of.
I like that bit about the fitness because, and again, I spoke to someone about this yesterday, and I just can't get into training at the minute. I just don't like it anymore. And I was like, do you know what you need? You need to find something that doesn't really feel like training.
Yeah.
But that to get better at it, you need to tidy up your nutrition a little bit. You maybe don't drink. So I don't hate jiu-jitsu. Yeah. I love jiu-jitsu. But in order for me to do a little bit better at it, it makes sense for me if I'm not as fat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I've entered this comp. I'm like, well, to get in that comp, I have to do it a couple of kilos. But it's not really about the couple of kilos, but actually it means I need to tighten up my diet a little bit. Yeah. It gives me a really easy reason to say, no, I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
Like my best friend's home off the rig, and he said he loves a sesh. Proper sesh, right? Loves one. And I I don't mind a session with him, right?
Yeah.
I'm maybe drinking 4 or 5 times a year, and he rang me last week. He's like, mate, and he's been away for Christmas, so I haven't seen him since November, right? He's been away for the whole of Christmas. Got back last week, and he's like, we're going here on the 22nd, me and my wife. Do you want to come? And I was like, I fucking needed to think of an excuse. Because I was like, I kind of like to, but I don't want to drink. I've got a lot going on right now, and I want my energy to be good. I'm feeling good. Starting to get over this long COVID thing. Seems to have fucking disappeared. Touching all sorts of wood again. And I just said I've got a jiu-jitsu comp on the 29th. Easy. So it wasn't necessarily about the comp or even the losing weight. It's just like, it kind of like, it's nice to have a sport and something that you don't hate, because it makes that little bit of discipline stuff kind of easy.
It does.
It's got a bit more purpose behind it.
Yeah.
It's not just about weight loss.
No. Well, there's a couple of friends, we did the West Highland Way on the bike. So it's like 90 miles over big hills and pretty, not extreme, but pretty tough going. I mean, it takes 5 days for people to walk it.
Yeah.
And the biggest takeaway that I took from doing it last year was we had to carry everything ourselves. So I had about 12 to 13 kilos on my back.
Yeah.
And going up hills, that was a lot. So it was like, if we're going to do that kind of thing again, if I can lose
3 kilos,
it's kind of like I'm carrying that bag.
Yes.
For free.
Yes.
So that was kind of like, again, it gives you that more kind of focus and direction.
Jiu-jitsu is kind of weird like that, because actually sometimes being heavy has a little bit of a benefit. Do you know what I mean? Like you can be under someone who's not as good as you, but they're heavier than you.
Yeah.
And it makes it harder. It's a very interesting thing, that. But also they'll gas sooner.
True.
Usually.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love it. So what have been some of the and I kind of touched on this, but I'd like your insight on it. What have been some of the biggest lessons you've learned? What have been some of the biggest challenges you've had then in starting this business thing whilst being in the same kind of place as your ex-wife and you live? What have been some more of the challenges? Because I think it's important to look at this stuff.
Yeah. Biggest challenge was mindset, really. Still is to a certain degree, but it's all about, are there enough clients out there? Solid. So you're getting into that scarcity kind of mode. Yeah. Am I good enough?
Yes.
There's so much competition. How will people even notice me?
Yeah.
It seemed like at that time, when you start to do a bit of research, every single person is a graphic designer. Everybody can design a logo. And then you start to look at things like Fiverr. Yeah. People can produce a logo for £5. Why are you going to pay me 500 quid? Yeah. It was really, that was the biggest. That fucked with you a little bit. That's Yeah. How? Because you're not guaranteed your next client. You're not guaranteed your next paycheck. There's no fucking holiday pay. Yeah. There's no sick pay. There's no paternity. Fucking hell, why do we do this? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's no statutory sick pay. There's none of that shit. None of that. Yeah. That was really. How do you combat that then? What's your tool to kind of handle that whole, this doubt, this scarcity thing? Like, what's your thing? I've got a couple of things that I'd throw in here, but biggest thing is just looking back at results, what I've done so far, and even in those early stages, people would come back to me. So for me, that was the biggest sort of feedback loop. You know, if I'm not doing a good job, they're not going to come back. Yeah. These people are coming back, so I must be doing something right. Yes. And then trying to figure out what was the thing that was doing right. Yeah. How can I do more of that? Yeah. What's not working, do less of that. Yeah. Nice. That's kind of just been a constant. Because this scarcity thing's very fucking common. Yeah. Oh, the industry's saturated. There's too many people. I'm like, well, there's actually never been a greater time to be alive. It seems a mad time to say, but there's never been as much opportunity. Yeah. I mean, look how easy it is to get in front of your target market. I didn't care what your business is. Yeah. It's easy to get in front of people these days. Yeah. Because they're all in fucking 1 or 2 places. Yeah. It's not like when you had to go and knock on people's fucking doors. Do you know what I mean? It's not like that. It's not like I had to write an article for the local newspaper. Yeah. In the same week I was in the court roundup. But yeah, it's like now I don't think it's, and it's easy for us to use in this like throwaway statements or like theory. I actually think that in the case of scarcity, action's the only answer. You only think there's not enough business when you're not doing anything about it. You only think there's not enough money when you're not. Do you know what I mean? Action for me, I'm like, okay, I feel like there's scarcity. I'm not quite sure. All right, I'm going to do this. Yeah. Doing your way through it, if you like. And then you don't notice much because you're fucking in it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so my thing, I still get this thing. I've been self-employed a long time. I've got a big ego. I'm actually quite a sensitive guy. So when people leave my program or finish, they don't even leave.
people make it to the end of their year in Alliance, for example. Often when they go and they don't renew, I'll be like, oh, fuck. Even now, as a 7-figure business owner, I'm like, fuck. Like, what? Why? What? Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, fuck. Still happens. Not so much now, because I figured out 2 things to kind of get my head around this. One is extreme gratitude. So fear and gratitude can't exist in the same space, right? So I'm like, extreme gratitude. So I've got to think about it. Fucking hell, have they left? Or did they just get what they came for?
Yeah.
It's like when this is the analogy that I use, and there's a lot of people that are in business that'll be like, oh, fuck yeah, I get people doing that as well. But I'm actually, the Atlantis, if I go and stay in the Atlantis for a week, and I pay for a week, they don't then go in a fucking hissy fit, block me on Instagram, and fucking never speak to me again because I didn't stay longer than the week that I paid for.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting thing. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to show extreme gratitude here. I'm going to send them a gift. I'm going to send them a call. I'm going to say, thank you so much. I'm going to use that testimonial. And that, for me, is extreme gratitude, but it's also action. Then I'm like, okay, how am I going to replace them? How am I going to get someone else in? How are we going to grow the business? How are we going to get more leads? And really, it's all about, whatever business you're in, it's all about impacting people. Yeah. Right? So I'm like, okay, how can I impact even more people today? If they don't pay me money, I'm cool, because I'm still impacting people. I mean, the amount of people that listen to this podcast have never signed up for anything, but still get value from it, blows my fucking mind. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think that any business, and I'm going off on a fucking rant now, aren't I? Any business grows in direct proportion to the amount of value it demonstrates to the marketplace. So I'm like, if you demonstrate enough value in your business, which can only be done through action, then you'll never be short of customers. The people that are short of customers are the ones that don't demonstrate any value.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's exactly the same sort of thing that I speak to my clients about, is to start demonstrating that. And
so what are some of your things? Because me and you are kind of like, I remember, like, I used to not give a fuck about, I'm like, no one gives a fuck about your logo. No one cares about branding. No one cares about this, and this. And I think at a certain level, they don't, right? When you're first getting started, should be your last year worries. And then I had a fucking photo shoot with my friend Martin Irvin. And he said, Paul, just get these photos done. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah. These professional photos do work. And then I remember saying to Darren and James Smith for ages, they'd be like, you need to start doing these jump cut videos on a proper camera instead of just uploading your lives. Yeah. I'm like, fuck off, man. I'm not doing that. I'm doing all right without it. And then Darren was like, yeah, talking to that camera. Then he edited a video, and then this fucking video just popped. I was like, oh, maybe you were right. Do you know what I'm saying? So so that's my whole thing on, like, this demonstrating value. So we've got a very different take on this, I think. What's your whole take on it?
To be honest, I think our take's pretty similar. I think if someone isn't starting their business because they haven't decided what their logo is going to look like, they need to just start their business.
Yes.
And then they can figure it out, because whatever they decide their business is going to be will change and grow, and it won't just be
evolve
a straight line.
And adapt. Yes.
So sometimes just get that business started, find out who your clients and customers are, how you serve them, and then you can circle back. For me, it's all about
how do I demonstrate value then in my brand?
In your brand, you have to be really clear on who you're speaking to, first of all. You can demonstrate it by kind of just presenting yourself at the level that you want to attract. So if you are, like we were talking about earlier, like if you are a coach or consultant who wants to bring in high ticket clients, your brand has to look like a high ticket client as well, because if you're, like you're saying, if you're just taking a selfie in your house, that's not really going to attract, it's not going to show your business at the right level.
Lesley just showed us a video where she was like, this guy was on about scaling your business to 7 figures. I'm like, he's fucking done it on his phone, which is fine, but not when you're talking about that thing and trying to get my details. It's fine on your socials, but I'm just like, for me, there was just a big disconnect.
Yeah, there's always a level you get to with doing it DIY.
Yes, I agree.
It won't take you to the higher levels. If that's what your aim is, to get to a certain level, then that's fine.
Yeah, if you're looking to get high value clients or high paying clients, like, I don't want to spend loads of time on this part because I don't want to keep it strictly business. But if we're looking to attract high paying, which is any business, it doesn't matter whether you're in the coaching industry, it doesn't matter whether you're in the textiles industry. I don't know where the fuck that came from. If you're in the trade, even I remember working with my friend Steve Brocklehurst, and he was the most expensive trader, most expensive builder, and you'd be buzzing about talking about him. He was the most expensive builder in the city, and he was just, I was like, why are you the most expensive? Why would people pay you double? He says, because we're the best.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, saying that's one thing. Demonstrating is something different entirely.
Yeah.
So he was like, we had this big discussion and he added 600 grand to his business in about 8 months.
Great.
And it was because all he did was present himself in a different way.
Yeah.
He stopped showing up with fucking builder's boots on and a fucking high-vis vest covered in silicone.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you're not a builder, you're a business owner, mate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're a business owner. So you started showing up in branded T-shirts and dress pants. Actually wears shorts almost all the time. But he's like, he just started showing up better and actually presenting himself as this, not a builder.
Yeah.
A fucking business owner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think part of me is like, well, I don't wear a lot of the personal development talks that I speak at. So a lot of the expos or a lot of the events I speak at, everyone else has got like a 3-piece suit on and and I'm like, well, that's just not me.
Yeah. You have to be authentic as well.
Yeah.
But
How do you get that balance right? It's a hard question, that.
It is
as soon as I said it, I was like, ooh, that's a hard question.
It is just not, don't be inauthentic.
Yes.
Is how you be authentic.
Yeah, nice.
So it's like you say, if you know you're going to some kind of event and everyone's wearing a suit, don't just wear a suit because everyone else is. You've got to be authentic to yourself, and that way it differentiates you, which is what a lot of branding and positioning is. Yeah. How are you different to the rest of your competitors? Yeah. Hotels are a really good example of it as well, because you've got like a B&B versus like Malmaison, for example.
That's the first thing that popped in my head as well. Yeah.
And everything about Malmaison, they want you to experience their brand, and the little things that are in the room that've got their logo on it, the notepads, the pens, the pencils, they want you to take that away. It's there for a purpose because you'll remember that.
The Mal wants you, and I think that they want you to, I think a lot of places now, they want you to take photos there.
Yeah, they want
you to take photos. They want you to fucking, that's why the seats have first class on them.
Yeah.
Right behind you, I'm like, I take a selfie. Oh, first class there. Oh, look. Yeah. I'm going to move me head a little bit just so you can see I'm in first class. Yeah. I think that happens.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's all positioning. I mean, even
no one's taking photos of themselves in shitty hotels.
Yeah.
Unless they're saying, look how shit this hotel is.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's those two kind of scales. And it's the same with coffee cups as well. Yeah. You don't really see people taking that many photos of their Greg's coffee.
No,
but
you
see
don't.
loads of people taking their Starbucks coffee because they want people to know.
Oh, in our case, we've got Hasbulla coffee cups.
Yeah.
I'm taking a photo of them Hasbulla coffee cups. But do you know what? I think it's such a great point. And me and Mac talk. No, I was talking. I talked about this quite a lot. I'm like, do you know, in business, a lot of the time you'll have low end, and then you'll have high end. Yeah. For me, low end obviously depends on volume. Yeah. High end doesn't. Yeah. I mean, it's nice if it is, but I think a lot of the time it's the people in between that get fucking butchered. Yeah, restaurants, for example, the ones that are killing it are either the really cheap ones, McDonald's, Greg's, or you can't get a fucking booking in a Michelin star restaurant. Exactly. You can't get a booking. Exactly. You're legit. There's a place in Hexham. It's about an hour away from here, right? My friend Mike, actually Chris Ramsey just moved there, and there's a place there. I've been trying to get booked in for a year, right? They only open the slots every 6 months. The last I was fuming. I was in this very room, and the slots sold out in 3 fucking minutes for 6 months. And this is because, obviously, it's amazing, but it's high end. It's not. Yeah. It's in between there and there. Like Rolex, think about this. Rolex, you can't get one at the minute.
No.
It's mad. Like, you can't. I was in Dubai, and I was like, Lesley bought me a Breitling watch for my 40s, right? And I took it back. Because I'm like, it doesn't even count me steps. Doesn't do me steps. I've got a whoop band on this arm. I'm like, but part of me's like, I really like one. They seem like a good investment. Yeah. So I might get a Rolly. I didn't get one because I couldn't fucking get one. Yeah. End of the day, I don't know whether I would have actually got one anyway, because I'm like, part of me's like, I'd just be wearing it to impress people, which I suppose is why we wear nice clothes.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, don't give a fuck about what people think. Why are you wearing them? Why are you even wearing clothes then? Because you do give a fuck what people think. Yeah. But with a Rolex thing, I went in Dubai. It had one fucking watch. The whole shop had one female Rolex watch. Yeah. Everything else was empty. I was like, part of me wonders if they do it on purpose.
There will be a little bit, because again, it's that scarcity thing that we talk about, but you can use that in a positive way. Like you can only take on so many clients per year, or we've only got one watch, but it's the best watch. Yes. And if you want it, you need to pay that much.
Yes. And so what are some other ways then that we can, I said I wasn't going to make it all about business, but I have, because I'm a selfish cunt. What are some of the ways that we could demonstrate that we are, instead of just saying, oh, I'm the most expensive, What are some of the ways that we can demonstrate that then? Where does that start?
It starts with details, I think. It's big on details. So it goes from, if you think of someone who's DIYing it, they're just creating a Word document and sending that out.
With clip art in it. With clip art in it.
Fully clip art. And it's really obvious, and it will serve a purpose.
Funny thing is, mate, I did that for a bit. Now, that wasn't for people that hadn't paid that. It wasn't the free stuff that I had designed first.
Yeah.
It was all like, do you know what? This program's fucking excellent. It's premium, but I made these Word documents, turned them into PDFs and sent them out. And then I hired you and I said, Craig, can you do these documents? Now people love them even more because they look fucking cool. People weren't taking photos of the printouts before I did that. Now I get tagged almost every day. I've printed out today's questions.
Yeah. Yeah, but you also find that it'll probably work better. People will get more engaged because if they see you're putting in effort as well, then they feel a bit more compelled to put in the effort as well. So there's that side of it as well. If you're showing effort, then it kind of helps.
That's interesting.
People
That's really
to
interesting.
put in some effort as well.
Yeah.
So if you're just throwing it together, they're just going to throw. They'll maybe not fill in some of these forms fully.
Yes.
Or using integrity.
That's what I feel about that. That's what I feel about the planner as well. The planner looks fucking cool.
Yeah, and
it looks cool when you fill it in. It's all nice, and it's not just a fucking blank document with some questions in it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like someone spent a lot of time and effort doing this. So, right, okay, I'm going to spend some time and effort putting my part into it as well. So there is that double side of it as well. That if you start to show that value and commitment, then people will give that commitment back.
Yeah, nice. What are some of your personal goals for 2022?
2022, I want to go back to the mountain biking thing. I want to compete in 3 enduro races.
Jeez!
Competed in my first one at the end of last year in November.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I now fit into the
the Masters category.
No, veterans.
Oh, the see, I find that offensive. I find that offensive. It's because I didn't know this, but the last time I competed, I must have been like 38, right? Yeah. And I was in there's like a Masters Plus or a Masters Gold or something. I'm like, fuck me, I am getting old.
Yeah.
But actually, the comp I've got next weekend, there's no Masters, so I'm competing against the fucking young bucks, I think. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you're in the veterans division.
Veterans division.
Nice.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Is there a lot of young people do the mountain biking thing like?
Yeah. So they go from like 13 plus.
Oh, fucking hell.
All the way
I'm
up.
glad to put you up there because imagine getting butchered by a 13-year-old. Oh, you'd be like, oh my God.
I did okay. Out of 300, I came 123rd.
Oh, nice.
So better than half.
So you're shooting for top 100 now?
Yeah. Let's get it into just double figures.
Oh, nice. I love it. So 3 of them? What else?
3 of them this year. I want to take my eldest son to New York.
Oh, nice.
He was 21 last year.
Yeah.
And obviously traveling was a bit more difficult.
Yeah, it was.
So, we've got to get a date sorted. But yeah,
New York's a bit mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Aaron was there recently and he was like, you had to show COVID passports to get in anywhere.
Yeah.
Any building.
Oh, really?
Yeah, any building you had to show COVID passports. My friend, Tristan, he might be listening. Tristan's in finance and he went to a show on Broadway and everyone had to wear masks while they were watching the show. Yeah, which is mad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a bit mad. So, yeah, well...
I think that might all clear up soon, though.
Yeah. We'll wait a little while. Probably, I think in maybe April, May
nice
kind of time. But
nice.
Yeah, that's a big kind of goal.
Just you two?
Just the 2 of us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that'll be...
Fucking lad's trip. Oh, and he can drink because he's 21 now.
He will be, yeah. I wouldn't say that I rarely drink.
No.
Just too busy.
Yeah, me too.
Too much.
Me too.
Good stuff.
Too many other things that you give a fuck about.
Yeah.
That if you drank, would throw it off course.
I wouldn't do it. Yeah.
And that's why I think, actually, I'm fucking going off topic again. That's why I think a lot of people really, I get asked about boozing all the time, and I'm like, often, do you know what? You got to build your life so that you could have a drink if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
But the other things you've got going on excite you too much to be knocked off by the drinking.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't feel like, it will for a little bit, but I don't think not drinking, if it feels like it's chore, not drinking, it's going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
For me right now, it doesn't feel like a chore because I've got too many, and they didn't just happen by accident. I think a lot of people, it doesn't happen by accident. You create a life that you get so excited about, so electrified by, so juiced by, that you're like, you know what, I could drink, but I'm more juiced by this, and if I do drink, it'll throw me off. I don't think there's much that can throw you off the rails like drinking.
Yeah,
no, I don't think there's much that can throw you off course than getting wasted, actually.
Yeah, no, I think you're...
And I mean, again, I haven't got a massive problem with it. I'm doing 1 year no boozing.
Yeah.
And Lesley was like, why are you doing that? Because you only drink like once every 4 weeks. I'm like, yeah, but when I do, sorry, not once every 4 weeks, 4 times a year, 5 times a year maybe, probably 5 times a year last year. But when I do, it throws me off track for at least a week.
Yeah.
At least a week. I feel a little bit shitter. I eat worse. My training's a little bit shitter. I'm kind of just getting through some of the days.
Yeah.
And then it starts that cycle. The next Friday, I'm like, oh, I could easily do it again.
Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it?
It is crazy. I've only ever done it a couple of times on the bikes.
Yeah.
Kind of get up at 6 a.m. to do an hour's drive, and then like within 5 minutes, just like, I've had enough.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
ill.
it's mad, isn't it?
And you just like, that memory is still there. So it's like, well, it's not really worth that.
Yes.
Few drinks.
Yes.
To then feel like that. I just want to really experience it and be present and have a good time with my mates.
And I'm more excited by that.
Yeah, that's just much more compelling than a few beers on a
And you're still
Friday
having a
night.
great time. Yeah, and you've still got that
Absolutely.
escapism that you get from boozing, right?
Yeah, because that's all it really was for me anyway,
Yeah.
was escapism from what I felt was like a bit of a mundane life, and everything was a bit rubbish and it was isolated.
Yeah.
So drinking was easy.
And you just did it to feel better.
Yeah.
And that's, but
You
now
feel better
you feel
for a little bit.
Yeah, but now mountain biking's the way that
That's
you feel better.
Replaced it in a much bigger way.
Yeah, a much healthier way.
Yeah.
I love it. What else?
Goals.
Yeah.
I forgot what the question was.
Sorry, that was my fault. Nothing throws you off like drinking or Paul Mort's questions.
Yeah.
What else have you got in store for this year?
I think the biggest one, I've started dating again. So I've got a really nice partner, and
Did you do the Tinder thing?
yes.
Did you?
Yeah. No, I've tried them all.
Have you?
Completed them.
How are they?
It's a whole different world.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because I bet when you met your wife or your ex-wife, that was, you had to go up and talk to her.
Yeah. So
It's
was
so
a
weird. I
really
talked to some of my
weird
friends,
experience.
some of my younger friends. I'm like, what's that like? That must be mad. Like, again, when I was younger, I mean, it was a long time ago, you used to have to pluck up the courage
Yeah, it took
and
big
fucking
balls.
probably get pissed as pissed.
Yeah.
So that you had the courage and the balls and some kind of chat up line.
Yeah.
And you had to get slapped across the face a bunch of times, really.
A lot.
And then it was so hard then. I mean, easier.
Yeah.
Some people obviously found it easier, the handsome fuckers with the big dicks. I'm joking. But like, that's a totally different world now.
Yeah. And the way that people talk to each other online on these things is, people don't talk to each other like that in the street, face to face.
Really?
And it's either goes like just really silent, or people get really direct.
Really?
There was one occasion where it was.
Oh, mate, I'm so glad that you're giving me examples now.
It felt like I was being interviewed for marriage.
Really?
Well, like this was like message 2.
World-class questions.
Yeah. I mean, it was literally like what's your family history, health history? Like, is there any
What?
Wasn't quite as much as detailed as that, but that's where she was leading that.
Did
kind
she
of
ask you what the 16-digit number on your card was?
Almost. I think that was what it was next.
Yeah.
And it was about like, how many children have you got? How many children do you want? How long do you spend at work? And how, what do you do with your weekends?
Christ.
It was like an interview.
Maybe she was a podcaster?
Yeah. I mean, she was obviously really clear on her priorities and what she wanted, so fair enough. But
nice.
I wasn't the right guy.
Nice. And business-wise, been looking at it too. We're looking to grow your business, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And looking to work with, you're looking to bring on this guys that want to position themselves, guys and girls that want to position themselves as kind of premium brands, right? Premium companies. Yeah.
That's where over the last year, certainly, I've noticed that working with people who want to get to that premium level, I can make a bigger impact on them. Yeah. They get a bit more committed, and the results are much more exciting as well.
Sick. All right, last question.
Yeah.
So I have an overrated foods bin, right? Yeah. Again, I want to make this clear because I get a lot of shit for this. I get a lot of heat. I like all of these foods. I just think they're overrated, right? I'll eat them. There's none of them that I hate and that I dislike. Out of mash, cheesecake, pigs in blankets, and Jaffa cakes. Got the 4?
Yeah.
Which one of them is the most overrated?
Most overrated. What was the second one again?
Mash, cheesecake, pigs in blankets, Jaffa cakes.
Pigs in blankets. Most overrated. Because, like, it's not
a sausage or a bit of bacon.
No.
It doesn't taste of...
And you can have both
taste
of them
grease.
separately
Better.
at any time.
Better.
And they're better separately.
Yeah.
And if you want to do that, you just like cut a bit of sausage and a bit of bacon and put it on your fork and eat it anyway.
And you wouldn't have a fucking orgasm over it, would you?
Yeah.
Like people do.
Absolutely not. Yeah. And I'd go with that. Yeah.
It's mad because it's weird, right? They have like a pigs in blanket sandwich, But I don't know many people that would say, hey, can I have a sausage and bacon sandwich?
Never.
Mate, you get one or the other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You do, don't you?
Yeah.
You either get a sausage sandwich and put ketchup on it, or you get a bacon sandwich and put brown sauce on it.
Exactly it. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be a debate. Like if you haven't ketchup on a bacon sandwich, you're fucking 7 years old. Anyway, Craig, where can everyone that's listening find out more about you, follow you, check out your journey, check out your story, check out some of your tips?
Yeah, best place to get me is on LinkedIn. That's where I'm probably most active.
Yes.
So if you look for...
Well, that's random because I'm probably the least active on LinkedIn. I love it.
You are. Just find my name, Craig Gillespie, or Total Brandits.
Total Brandits. And you're Total Brandits on Instagram, right?
And it's at Total Brandits.
I love it.
Word
Well, Craig Gillespie, thank you so much, my man. I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.